Now that we've seen that social interaction can't be for mere selfishness, we move on to the Muslim conception of the hereafter, paradise. Islam accepts the doctrines of accountability for human actions in another existence and belief in a future life. The Quran, like other sacred books, gives vivid word pictures regarding the joys of paradise and the sufferings of hell. There are many Muslimin who interpret the ornate descriptions of the Quran in their literal sense, but such exoterics are not peculiar to Islam. That we've found among the followers of all religions, just as some Christians believe that the cherubs and seraphs of the scriptures are tangible beings, there are Muslims who look upon the haris and gilmans, the corresponding Arabic terms in Quran, in a similar way. Well, all believing Muslims believe these things that the Quran says. In modern times, no Muslim of even average intelligence and culture interprets the descriptions of the Quran in their literal sense. No, that's not true at all. And we refute most emphatically that any Muslim, no matter how dull or untutored his mind, looks forward to the sensual enjoyment in the next world. Well, they do, but they want to live this world in its best terms. It's not a escapism. The similes and descriptions given in the Quran are worded in such a manner as to be easily understood by the people to whom they were addressed, to the parched, toiling, and destitute Arab of the desert, constantly engaged in internecine warfare. What could more vividly depict his ideals of happiness, dignity, and comfort than a paradise which is a garden, shady and evergreen, with murmuring streams of pure water, an unending season of fruits, stately mansions, luxuriously furnished, and handsome attendants, no necessity for work, only peace and plenty. That these are allegorical descriptions will be clear from verse 35 of chapter 13 of the Quran. The likeness and the similitude of the heaven which the righteous are promised as a garden beneath the flow rivers, which flow rivers. What? I'm having a bit of trouble speaking. Perpetual is the enjoyment thereof, its fruit is everlasting, and the shade thereof. Such is the reward of the righteous. The direction to follow the spirit and not the letter of the teachings of the Quran is clear from verse 6 of chapter 3. It is he who hath revealed to thee the book. Some of its verses are decisive, clear to understand. They are the basis of the book, and others are allegorical. Well, the spiritual realms, we talk about them in the best of ways, but differing meanings. Those in whose hearts is perversity follow the part that is allegorical, seeking to mislead and seeking to give it interpretation. So they look at the symbolic, or things with symbolic levels to them, and as it says, those who have knowledge in it, well, those who don't have knowledge in it, and those who want to mislead and cause sectarianism with these things, that's different. That's different than saying some of what's being said here. The following quotations, it will be obvious that the Quran promises a spiritual paradise. Surah 13, 21 through 24, those who bear calamity with fortitude, seeking the bliss of the countenance of their Lord. Gardens of perpetual bliss, they shall enter there, and angels shall enter unto them from every gate. Peace be unto you, for that you patiently endured calamity. Now, how excellent is the final home. There's words missing in a couple, after Lord and after there. 52:23. There they pass from hand to hand a cup wherein is neither taint nor causes sin. Surah 15, ayat 47 to 48. And we shall remove evil and rancor from their hearts, and they will be as brethren face to face, resting on couches raised. Toil cometh not to them there, nor will they be expelled from thence. Surah 56, 26 through 6, 25 through 6. There they hear no vain talk, nor recrimination, only the word peace, peace. well, a purely spiritual paradise, Surah 9, 872, God hath promised the believers, men and women, hallowed dwellings in gardens under which rivers flow, to abide therein. But greater by far is the presence of God. That is the supreme felicity. Surah 3, 894, Never will I suffer to be lost the work of any of you, be ye male or female. Ye are members one of another. Of the same human status, I will blot out their iniquities and admit them into gardens with rivers flowing beneath, a reward from God. The nearness of his presence is the best of rewards. Surah 3, 197, Those who are dutiful to their Lord. For those who are dutiful to their Lord are gardens underneath which rivers flow, therein there to dwell forever. A gift of the presence of God, and nearness to God is the best bliss for the righteous. Surah 32, 817. No one comprehends the celestial bliss which awaits him, the glory that will illuminate the darkness of his eyes as a reward for his good deeds. Surah 89, 27 through 30. O soul that art out at rest, return to thy Lord joyfully, with his grace upon thee. Enter thou the fold of my devotees, yea, enter thou my heaven. So, what we get hereafter goes beyond what we can describe. But that doesn't mean that we can't take the descriptions in a more literal sense, and some of them are put in such a way as like, okay, that's not quite what we're used to here. With regard to the translations of the Quran, on which most of the misconceptions and allegations against Islam have been based, it must be made clear that no synod of learned men were ever commissioned to produce an authentic translation of the Quran, the original Arabic into English or any other language. The existent translations are the result of the efforts of individual translators from time to time, each of whom has put his own meaning to the words and given interpretation to the context according to his own ideas. It must be realized that apart from the fact that the Quran is written in several dialects, the Arabic language itself is such that the slightest change of vowel points and accent entirely alters the meaning and significance of a sentence, and it's painful to see the mutilations and misrepresentations, some due to honest mistakes, owing to lack of familiarity with the idiomatic expressions of the language, and others due to prejudice and venom against the Muslims and their religion. And for the most part, it's fragmentation, because it's difficult to render a lot of things, at the same time. This word is, there's, like in Surah 5, there's these words that take a sentence or two for every word, if you know what I'm talking about. The standard translation in English by George Sale, I've presented that on this channel too. A learned Christian missionary which finds a place in the Chandas classic is based on the Latin version of the Quran by Marachi, the confessor of Pope Innocent VI. There's another one that's based on a French translation, but after that it was basically unaccepted because the idea of translating the Quran indirectly, like it had been done with the Bible, that through a translation of a translation of a translation was just not considered. The object of this work, which was dedicated to the Holy Roman Emperor Leopold I, was to discredit Islam in the eyes of Europe, and Marachi introduces it by an introductory volume containing what he calls a refutation of the Quran. They minimize the mention of love by and for God. For some reason, they don't like the word yellow, so they translate it as red. Some other issues. It is a recognized fact of history that in the dark ages of the Crusades, truth was constantly perverted for the sake of political ends. To this day, wherever scientific thought has not infused a new soul, wherever true culture has not gained a foothold, the old spirit of exclusiveness and intolerance, the old ecclesiastic hatred of Islam displays itself in writings, in newspaper articles, in private conversations, and public speeches. I earnestly trust that the modern spirit of inquiry and broad-minded tolerance will prevent the acceptance of these old prejudices, and the publication of this little book in the Wisdom of the East series will, In the words of the editor, be the ambassador of goodwill and understanding between East and West. And there's after what we have here, perhaps we'll share a glossary. And there's some appendixes. A listing of the Quran verses mentioned, that'd be a good one to say. The ablutions and the prayer. That's